Executive Voices is the podcast series that takes you inside the world of top leaders. And in this episode, we have turned the spotlight on women in leaders. Now, every designation has a story of hard work, dedication, and resilience which we don't often hear and see. So let's start, guys. How has your leadership changed over time?
Workforce having evolved, you can't afford to remain safe.
How do you approach high-stakes situations?
Trying to remain calm, right? It's not easy. Your experience and your knowledge is what comes to picture.
Like, how do you ground yourself?
Mindfulness. You have to be focused, you have to be in that moment. And most important is investment in building a good team. And you have to set realistic goals.
Always hungry or always sleepy?
Not both.
Wow, you have some control then.
Satish, she's going to put people to sleep. I think she can't be sleeping.
Very nice point.
Says, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना.
Correct.
We have called you all to talk about your challenges as women in leaders. And thank you so much for joining us. And with all your stories and authentic experiences, I can't wait to deep dive into questions. But before that, I would love to introduce Aruna ma'am. She's a senior finance leader with over 22 years of experience across industries like automotive, consumer goods and energy. She's a partner in a large accounting firm and brings her deep expertise in accounting, sector expertise ranging across consumer durable and engineering industry, and has led cross-functional teams on a large-scale IPOs, including cross-border listings. She's also a passionate advocate for women in leadership, deeply committed to driving equity and enabling more women to rise and thrive in their careers. Aruna is passionate about traveling, trying new experiences, and strongly believes in the power of emerging technologies. I think the one thing that's common is how everyone wants to empower more women out there.
Yeah, I think thank you, Bhakti and Archana and Amplyft for having us here today. I think I was just telling Archana that it's great that you are building this platform to get few of us together. Having this network itself means a lot to a lot of people. And I think without tech, you have to be tech savvy today, I think, and including what you're doing here today is enabled by tech. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
We have our next guest, Shrikanta Oak. She's a doctor at KM Hospital. Her interests are neuro anesthesia and difficult airway management. She has a total 32 academic publications, both national and international, a mentor for neuro anesthesia fellowship. She's also a committed philanthropist, dedicating 3 days each year to community service initiatives. Her efforts include organizing camps for domestic house helps. She has also contributed programs to Melghat, a tribal region, to support the underprivileged communities. That's such a humble initiative.
Thanks. It's for lovely introduction and for inviting us. It's a pleasure.
It's our honor to have you all. And with your experiences, I can't wait but to deep dive into questions and know more about your journey. My first question would be to Aruna ma'am. In your career roadmap of decades, how has your leadership changed over time?
See, I think over decades, I think the entire workforce has changed, right? I think we have, obviously they're different. Demographically also we've changed, moving from maybe millennials to now we have Gen Z. So I think the workforce having evolved, you can't afford to remain same, right? So initially, I think when I started off, I think there used to be a lot of pressure on leaders to maybe know everything, right? You need to have had answers to everything. But today, I think the entire leadership style has also become so more open, right? That people look up to leaders who are willing to experiment, who are able to come back and, who are more empathetic, who are able to go there and say, okay, I don't have an answer for this, but you know what? We're going to do this together and find one. This entire shift of being there, know all kind of a person, to a person who's willing to experiment, who understands, is open to ideas from, people across age groups, and is also willing to experiment. I think that's the way the entire leadership has changed, is the way I see it.
Being adaptive.
Being adaptive, being a lot more empathetic. And you can own your space. It's okay to be different than what's, a stereotypical leader should look like.
Yes. Shrikanta, for you, what have been some of the most unexpected turns in your career and how did you navigate through them?
Like most unexpected turn while doing residency. We got married early.
Okay.
While doing residency, I was pregnant. And there was a dilemma whether to continue or not to continue. I had to take a break. I took a break. I took a break of 9 months, raised my child, then took a family support. My mother-in-law, sister-in-law, they took care of my child, and then I finished my second residence. So sometimes you have to balance.
Right.
You have to take a decision, and then it went well.
Okay. Yes, we can see that you are a doctor and you are a philanthropist also. My question would be to you, Aruna, what barriers have you faced as a women leader and how did you push through them? Like you are one of those initial women who became partner at a Big Four consulting firm. So I'm sure there would be some set of challenges being like a women leader.
Yeah, see, of course, I wouldn't call them barriers or challenges, but I think what I mean, in terms of perceptions, right? I think a lot of times you are fighting perceptions in terms of how somebody perceives you and why initially, and as you said, being amongst one of the few on the table in leadership, I think there's always a perception that comes along with it saying, is it because of a D&I policy? Is it because, there is a balance that's required? But over time, I think, somebody told me that you can get there maybe because of a policy, but you can't. The job is so high pressurizing across sectors, across leaders. You can't survive there unless you could, right? So I think over a period of time, some of these perceptions change. And one of the other things that we often try and do is because of this perception, there is also a need to say, okay, we are always trying to prove ourselves, right? I think and you kind of learn it also over a period of years that you don't really have to do it. You own your space. You're here for something very different from the rest, but you're here because you kind of maybe denote something which maybe the others don't.
Yes.
So I think some of those initial perceptions, challenges is what I would think might have troubled me at maybe the start of my career or the mid career. But I think honestly speaking, all of that is changing today, right? So we know, I'm fortunate to work amongst people in an organization which really helps us thrive and not just exist. And I think that way it's a very cohesive environment that's coming up today. People are welcoming changes. They're welcoming different people, right? The inclusivity has changed quite a lot, the entire factor. So I think it's a good world to be in. There will be challenges, but I think you just need to spend less time on it and more to just equip yourself, I would say.
And how do you approach high stakes situations? Could you share a moment when you had to take a high stake decision and then how did you approach it?
See, a lot of us in our positions, of course, we are having high stake decisions. Maybe Shrikanta, of course, in her profession as a anesthetist, is going to be facing it more than a lot of us. But I think over a period what's helped me is trying to remain calm. Right, it's not easy when there's a high stakes situation. There is a lot of stakeholders who get impacted. But I think having a sense of calm enables you to take the right decisions. Sit down, see what can really go right, what's the worst that can happen, who are the various people who will get impacted, what is the best for you can't always have the best for everyone in a situation, but at least to say what's the least harmful for everyone in that situation. Right. I think some of those things really help us take the decision at that point in time. And also, I strongly believe that at that point of time, your experience and your knowledge is what comes to picture. Because the more experience you have, the greater knowledge that you kind of earn over years, I think that helps you take that right decision. And that nothing can beat the knowledge foundation that we all need to have. I think that's very important.
That's the experience.
Yeah, experience.
Right. And what you have learned from your past mistake.
Yeah.
What to follow, what not to follow.
What not to follow,
That is also very important.
Can you share us a difficult situation that didn't go as planned and how did you navigate through that uncertainty?
I think COVID-20, which was not only difficult for me and challenging for me, but for all of us. Uncertainty, unpredictability, all challenges. We were considered as God when required, and otherwise there was a stigma attached to it. I still remember incidents. My evening walk on the podium was objected because I was working with COVID patients.
Okay.
So these are all these things we have to, and to maintain our mental peace, I think support from family, friends, and spirituality. I used to tell myself, these too will pass, these too shall pass, and then we navigated through it.
So that's what kept you grounded.
Yeah.
That's so hopeful to hear that. My next question to you, Aruna, what's your approach to staying ahead of the curve in a rapidly changing business landscape? Like you said, things are changing, and there were millennials, now there's Gen Z. So how do you stay ahead of the curve?
I think first of all of us should have the very clear what you call a learning mindset or growth mindset, right? You will never be at any point of time in life be in a situation where you know everything. There's nobody who knows everything. So as long you have that little bit of humility in mind, saying I need to keep learning and be agile. I think a lot of us, I mean, people I talk to also have this and I think saying, okay, you know what, I'm already in my 40s, I'm already in my 50s. Why should I learn something new? You know, my time is over. Let the new generation learn it. I think that entire mindset, while it's important to carry your experience and maturity that comes with age and what you've done so far, always going back to saying this is how it happened when I was doing this doesn't help much. I think you really have to look ahead and say, you know, what's okay, today the world's changing and it's okay. And this is going to keep evolving. And it's only if it doesn't change, we all have a problem. I think we all need to keep rolling and changing. So, first, be agile, be open to learning. A lot of times we are, maybe learning after it becomes a necessity, right? But keep looking at new things, keep saying, okay, what is it? And not necessary, everything should relate to your field, right? You should be open to learning different things which don't even matter to you in everyday life. I think so. Being agile, once again, I think adaptability quotient. I mean, one of your earlier questions, we always used to say IQ was higher for leaders. Then we came to a stage where EQ was higher. Now there's this term called adaptability quotient. You have to be adaptable, and be willing to learn to be successful. So I think that is going to be having a learning mindset and learn everything around you. I think that's very critical.
I like how you said that don't learn it when it becomes a necessity. I think being proactive also helps you stay ahead of the curve because you're doing it before everyone is even aware of or even before everyone is doing. I like that mindset, very proactive mindset.
And I strongly believe that also keeps up the energy in your life, right? I mean, we all have, at some point of time, it all gets monotonous, right? We're doing maybe the same stuff every day. So we need to create those opportunities to fuel ourselves. I think that's what I strongly believe. So anything new, I'm like always up for it. I think let's go try it. I think that's about.
I think that's why you're also excited for the podcast.
Yeah.
My question to you would be, Shrikanta, as women, we're always seen emotional. But then that's also our tool. That's a very powerful tool because that makes us empathetic. So can you recall a time when empathy changed the whole outcome of the situation?
Yeah, in our day-to-day practice at KM also, we have to be very empathetic. There are lots of patients, they are poor, they are anxious. And empathy plays a major role whenever the patient is child. Child. Yeah, if we show them if we are caring for their child, the anxiety of parents decreases. We need to communicate properly. We need to give them information. And empathy helps in such situation. Even in a difficult situation, like any complication happens, but they have seen you from the beginning. You are empathetic towards the patient. You are taking proper care. So they respond differently for a difficult situation, any complication of us. Yes, it helps like that.
That's true. But then it also takes a toll on you. When you are so empathetic, and also now in these scenarios, how do you stay grounded and also self-aware that while you're also showing empathy, it's also not taking a toll on you? Like, how do you ground yourself?
I think my upbringing, value system, which make me strong-headed, resilient. And at that moment, you have to be focused. Like Aruna said, mindfulness. You have to be focused. You have to be in that moment. And most important is investment in building a good team. So in difficult situation, in stressful situation, delegating proper work, proper communication helps us a lot. And we all have to work team, starting from mama, sister, surgeon, anesthetist. All work as a team in stressful situation.
Wow, it shows how you're leading so well.
Yeah. In fact, just to add on, I think when you're still in a very different context, but in relation to healthcare, we were saying why a lot of us, don't maybe go to the most qualified doctor, but we go to doctors who are qualified plus have a bit of empathy. Because as a patient, when you're going through so much of anxiety, especially family members, at least the patient's there, but the family members go through so much of anxiety in that moment. I think you really need a doctor who can be, who is empathetic, along with, of course, having got good knowledge in the field. So I think that's a changer, a big game changer. I see so many doctors who may be very great at what they're doing, but they don't even have like 1 minute to speak to you, or you can't spend time. I know as doctors, but I think that empathy factor is very, very critical in healthcare.
That's when we can trust our lives to them.
Like if we say कि सब ठीक हो जाएगा, तो half of their tension.
Yeah.
And coming from the doctor, it is so reassuring. Aruna, what about you? Like, as women, of course, we are seen emotional, but then that's also a very key tool that we're empathetic. So, have you seen a situation where you being empathetic that just helped build trust and credibility as a leader and even amongst the stakeholders?
See, I think for me, empathy is a superpower, right? So, being emotional, I think we need to draw the difference between what is being emotional and what is being empathetic. A lot of time, the lines are blurred, and it is okay at times to be emotional. But a lot of times, I keep telling my team members also that keep emotions at bay at times when you're really doing some things. You are doing it because there is a set objective, and you're doing it, in the larger good. But I think being empathetic, putting yourself in somebody else's position, you may not achieve the same results which the other person wants. But the way you communicate it, the way you discuss it, considering the impact on others is what really makes you that leader. Leader can't function alone. All of us know that, right? We need teams. We need people around us. We need people who would kind of not agree, but you should be able to influence stakeholders. Yeah. And you can't achieve that unless you really build that connect with people. So I think empathy is actually a superpower. Leaders without empathy will be extinct in a while.
Yeah, then it will just be like robots. Yeah, I think that's Kadu's boss. Yes. I want to talk about negotiation now. Negotiation and influence. Like, we often avoid difficult conversations. We think that they're not important, but we actually stall it because they're difficult, and we actually should have those conversations, but then we fear being labeled too aggressive or too emotional. So can you share a moment when you had to go through such conversation and you yet negotiated very powerfully without coming across as too aggressive or too emotional?
See, I think, again, negotiation is a skill. First and foremost, at least, and this is something that I'm still learning, to be honest. For you need to know what to negotiate, how much to negotiate, where to push through, where to stop. I think that's the first learning that you need to have. Secondly, I think what I use from a negotiation or a discussion trying to achieve common ground is to first give that understanding to everybody on the table that, we understand what your concerns are, right? You may have a particular point of view. I have a particular point of view. We both need to achieve common ground. And the minute you say that you need to achieve a common ground, because either we are winning together or we are losing together. And that's what happens most of the times, right? So I think once you have the person on the same plane where they say that, okay, we are going to be in it together, right? And let's go, you walk some path, I walk some path, may not always be equal all time. But I think what is in it for you if you agree to this particular decision? So a lot of times we're always trying to convince why I need something, right? So always putting that in a slightly different context. I need it because of ABCD reasons, but this is how it kind of helps you, or this is what we achieve together with the common objective in mind. I think that has practically helped me at least have a good negotiation. You may not achieve the desired outcome, but you don't walk out of the room with a lot of hostility or whatever you call it.
So I think having a clarity helps a lot.
Yeah, and a common ground, right? What is in it for you? What is in it for me? Yeah. This is where we need to reach, because this is the most suitable situation and without causing much harm to everybody else. And sometimes, not every time you can reach a situation which is maybe conducive to everyone. Maybe you'll have to sometimes say, no, this is what I need, and maybe that's not liked by everyone. But I think the reason behind why you took it would make a lot of difference, rather than just having to enforce in terms of what you need.
Right, right. Yeah, like set a foundation.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you faced this as a doctor that you avoided being too aggressive, too emotional, but you were assertive?
We have to be assertive because we play with the life. Yes. So there are different roles for first year, second year, third year. I'm in a medical college, so people work under me. Yeah. So then simultaneously there is a checklist. So first year has done this, second year has done this, third year has done this, and we have assessment every year also. Okay. So they have to do this work. They have to learn this work. Otherwise, they can't go to the next. So it helps a lot. They learn many things.
Yeah, these things sounds very easy, but yeah, there's so much work that you have to do. A lot of work goes behind this, the resilience and the hard work that you put. My question to you is, let's say when you don't have a formal authority, how do you still build influence? Like any tips on building influence without formal authority?
See, I think yes, while authority is a good starter, I think we are far away from that age where authority drives influence, right? In fact, it's the other way around. Once you're able to influence people, then you kind of not assume, but you kind of become capable of assuming authority, I would say. So influence is very important. So authority, yes, it helps you open the door, it helps you get there. Yeah. But especially in the current workforce or even at home, I think you can't just drive authority because you're in a particular position, right? Even for a small child today, I think you need to be able to explain why of what you need to do. Just saying sometimes this is what you need to do is critical at times, because if there's too much conversation happening, if there are too many, you can't take a decision all the time or leave it open. Sometimes you have to take the final call and say, yes, I understand, but this is how we need to do this for now, because your maturity, your experience helps. But at the same time, I think when you, in all of that, when you put it together, somewhere you realize that because I have been able to influence, I can still coexist with authority.
Yeah, that's very beautifully put, that first comes influence and then comes authority, and not the other way around. Wow, you actually twisted my whole question. Shrikanta, for you, what does work-life balance mean to you, and how has it evolved over the years?
It's a difficult question, but maintaining high standard at workplace and simultaneously I spend time. I love to spend time with my family, friends. I follow my hobbies, running, singing, yoga. Wow, you still do so much. Yeah. And I think at that moment, you should know your priority. And you have to set realistic goals. Like to spend time with my family, I have to have a limited hours. It may not be rewarding in other way, like money or anything else, but I'm happy. And that's how I maintain my life balance, work-life balance.
What about you? Do you have any systems or boundaries in place that help you manage your energy levels across being a partner, leader, individual?
Yeah, I think, but just like Shrikanta said, you need to know your priorities, right? So there can never be a perfect balance. And I think this entire work-life balance is a myth, because you can't be in a situation where, I keep saying you're at work and there is, say, a stressful situation or something you need to resolve. This whole thing of saying, okay, it's now 7 o'clock, let my mind please shut down. I'll go back home and I'm not supposed to think of it. That's not going to happen, right? And similarly, if you have something happening at home when you're at work, it is likely to have an impact or influence on your day that day. So I think this entire thing saying I need to have 9 to 5 and then I'll do is never going to work. The ability is to say, okay, while you know that these are 3 or 4 priorities, one day something else is more important. On another day, you need to focus your energy on something. So as long as you have that clarity, I think it's important. You first need to know what are your priorities. And be okay with not prioritizing or not spending as much time on number 3, 4 on a particular day. Don't overkill yourself. Say, okay, maybe I'm not able to attend a social function because I have, in terms of I have a important assignment. Okay, I might be missing out on family time, but maybe this is most crucial right now. And I will go back and I'll do what's necessary on a different day, right? So it's okay. And you know your position better, right? It's very difficult to assume that others are going to understand every time what is critical for you. So be very clear with what are my priorities, so that, or for my family, for my work, what is critical for each day, each week, and trying to adapt and manage. I think that's what balance for me is.
Your introduction said that you strongly believe in power of emerging technologies. So, how has digital transformation impacted your industry, and how have you adapted as a leader?
See, I think from the industry that I work in, I think in consulting and audit, and also because I have this opportunity to deal with to kind of speak to a lot of clients, is it? I think I really see that conversation transforming, right? Even today, even in boardrooms, even in senior management, there is no conversation that ever happens without technology being a part of it.
Yeah.
Right, and I think it's become on every profession, whether it's doctor, whether it's diagnosis, if it's actually business decisions, analytics. Of course, in audit, we kind of today use a lot of these analytics, AI, to reduce the monotony in the work, so that we can actually put human brains to a lot more high end tasks. But I think it's while the shift there's a lot of hype, there is also a shift that's just happening. Yes, the shift can be gradual in some sense, and rightfully so, because you need to analyze the pros and cons of every technology. But I think it can be a big game changer. Today, I think with technology, there are so many advantages that we can use, as long as you know how to use it in the right sense and the contours of it. I think as long as you can manage this and understand this, it can be a big life changer, according to me.
It's actually, very helpful, but we have to just know our boundaries, that not to overdo it so that it doesn't take over the control.
We should work in collaboration, and
Yeah.
it cannot replace us.
Yeah.
That is true. If you could go back, so we're just closing, if you could go back and whisper one thing to your younger self when you started your career, what would it be?
I think it may sound selfish, but the most important thing is love yourself the most.
Yeah.
Self-care, which I learned very late in my life, should have been from the beginning. I should do it. It may be like me time.
Yeah.
It may be sometime you have to say no to many things. And now I think next generation is learning that at very early stage.
Very true. Very true.
That time is sometime, but it's okay.
What advice would you give to the next generation of women leaders entering the workforce today?
Okay, advice. I don't know. I think something that I want you to keep in mind is that first of all, you don't have to shrink yourself to fit anywhere, right? Own your space. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah.
And I think today's generation is doing that very well, and I'm really happy with that. The other thing that I often see, because you said women leaders, I think I often see is we think 10 years ahead, which is okay to think. But I have a lot of people coming up to me and say, okay, I'm doing this today. Can I do this 5 years down the line? I keep telling them, don't overthink. While it's important to plan, a lot of times life doesn't go as per plan. So, once you get there, you will find a solution, right? There is always a bridge, but you cross the bridge when you come to the bridge, or at least closer to the bridge, rather than trying to set boundaries for yourself, more than what the world sets for you. A lot of these boundaries that we talk about, or maybe what is there in our mind and what we are setting for ourselves, rather than the external factors.
Yeah.
So just go on. Your life will find its path. I think it's great.
What is one quote that you remind and tell yourself every day?
See, I think I don't know whether I tell it every day, but a lot of times I think in the context of the current discussion, we have a lot of voices around us, right? We keep hearing a lot of things of what we should be doing, what's appropriate, and it happens to everyone, whether it's male, female. And sometimes it tends to pull you down a lot, right? I think one thing I keep telling myself is, this old song, that Bollywood song which says, kuch to log kahenge, logon ka kaam hai kehna. So you have to keep that in mind, because unless you have that clarity, and maybe they're right in their own way, it's just that your story better than anybody else, and you are the author of it.
Yeah.
So just let the voices remain.
That's such a good closing. That's actually a very good closing, because there's so much noise around us every day with even social media that we lose our focus, and that's when you have to remind yourself that shut down the noise, they'll keep talking.
Yeah. Do what's right for you.
Yes. My question to you will be, how have other women uplifted your journey, and what legacy do you hope to leave behind as a leader?
I thank God there are many women who helped me. Like from the beginning, my mother, who was from a very conservative Marwadi family. She was fourth pass, but she was ready to sell her jewelry, marriage jewelry, for my dreams. It didn't require, that is another thing, but she was ready at that time. Then my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, as I already mentioned, they took care of my kids whenever required. Till now, whenever I have to do emergency duty or something, they come, they help. My senior faculty at the workplace, they help me to grow professionally as well as personally. And last but most important, my friends. Friends at my hospital, at my workplace, at my society. Archana is one of them. And they were always there for listening to me, for giving me the solution.
So the legacy you want to leave behind is to help, and which you're anyway doing. You're anyway helping.
And you have to be adaptive, as Aruna mentioned it very nicely. You have to be flexible. You have to be adaptive, at the same time assertive, and you have to be empathetic. It helps a lot in your long journey.
Wow, that was such a lovely and a very encouraging discussion. Thank you all so much. But before we end, we'll play a game, because all day work and no play is boring. So we're gonna play this game called Red Flag, Green Flag. I'll say some scenarios, and you'll have to raise that. Do you think it's a red flag or a green flag? Okay.
Red flag is no or
Red flag is a very undesired behavior. Like it's a very now Gen Z millennial lingo कि कुछ भी बुरा होता है तो ये से अरे ये red flag है, ये अच्छा है, हाँ ये green flag है. That's the lingo. So when your team never challenges your decision, so is it a green flag or a red flag? Okay, perspective change. Yeah. You are thriving to be the smartest in the room. Is it a red flag or a green flag? Overconfidence. Someone taking conflicts online. Is it a red flag or a green flag? Okay. Saying I'm sorry as the leader. Is it a red flag or a green flag? Yeah. Owning it up. You are the only woman in the leadership meeting. Is it a red flag or a green flag?
I would say both. I think one, yes, maybe you are the only one, but at least you're there. So I think it's good progress.
Yeah, but you would love more.
Yeah, of course.
You are praised for being nice more than being effective. Red flag or green flag? Always available for a call.
That does have to be.
Of course. You are a fact checker. Red flag or a green flag?
Being prepared always helps.
Yes. Women are emotional. Red flag or a green flag?
I think both.
Both. You are always evaluating decisions. Red flag or green flag?
Yeah, I think in my profession also both, because it's high stakes. So it's important. I mean, I would better off be having evaluated and concluded rather than otherwise in same.
And we have to be very updated with the recent knowledge and all
Yeah.
these things.
Yes, of course. You making time for meditation and rejuvenation. Green flag, definitely. Fake it till you make it approach.
Yeah, for me, I think it's both, because it's wrong.
In the start, but
You need it in the start. It's until you, it gives you that confidence to sometimes go ahead with it.
yes. Now I have a very interesting game for you. One word. So you have to describe anything I question in one word. One word that describes your weekend vibe.
Slow.
Slow is good.
Yeah.
One word that defines your morning routine. Slow?
Rushed.
Rushed? Okay, maybe the weekdays.
Weekdays.
Yeah. What's one word your closest friend would use for you?
I don't know. I should ask her, but maybe understanding.
Okay.
I mean, from a friend perspective, yes.
One word for your biggest cheerleader.
My family.
Oh, nice. One word for your happy place.
Home.
My question to you will be this or that, so you have to pick. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Work or play?
Both.
Planner or improviser?
Both.
Mentor or mentee?
Both, of course. Yes.
9 to 5 or flexible hours?
I'll prefer flexible hours, but now I'm working between 9 to 5. Okay.
Delegate or do it yourself?
Both.
Early riser or night owl?
Early rise. Wow.
Risk taker or rule follower?
Both, I think, in our field.
Music while working or silence?
I will prefer music, but the environment is like that, we have to be silent.
Yes, of course. One last question. Always hungry or always sleepy?
Not both.
Wow, you have some control then. Okay, thank you guys so much. You all were so amazing.
Said she's going to put people to sleep. I think she can't be sleeping.
Very nice point.
Thank you all so much. It was such a lovely discussion. Fun, at the same time insightful. And we really appreciate coming for this podcast. And we have a small gift for you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. From Amplyft, a small token of appreciation.
Thank you, Bhakti. Thank you, Arjuna.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to the podcast and our leaders Vitika and Aishwarya. We will keep getting more executive voices. In the meantime, if you want to upgrade your leadership skills, at Amplyft we have a dedicated program only for women leaders. So please guys, the contact details are in the description box, and in the meantime, like, share and subscribe if you like this episode. We will have more coming in, so stay tuned guys. Thank you so much.